Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of my breakdowns, my picks. We need a name for this show. Balian's breakdowns? I don't know. Welcome. It is UFC 253 this weekend. Saturday is the night, or Sunday morning if you're over here like me in the EU. Obviously heading the bill is Israel Adesanya, the last style bender, taking on Paolo the Eraser Borrachinha Costa. Great matchup, fantastic matchup, two undefeated fighters. I'm going to go through the card with you right now, have a little chat, discussion, give you my thoughts, feelings, opinions, and my picks as well, because why not? Yeah, not that you'll listen to them, but it's a bit of fun, isn't it? So we shall enjoy. So let's kick off the bill with the main event and work our way down there. Of course, Israel Adesanya taking on Paolo Costa. Now, this is kind of a matchup that most people are probably the most anticipated title defense I'd say he'd have. The Romero matchup was very hyped. A lot of people were very excited about that one going into it. I do remember a lot of hype. But there's something more exciting about Paolo Costa. Obviously, he beat Romero, right? And the Romero fight didn't really come out the way that a lot of people expected. People sort of booed Israel for that. A little bit in the audience there, but not that this fight will be different. I mean, it will be different, but the point is very highly anticipated. Lots of people are talking about it. I know some people that don't usually watch the sport that like Paulo Costa just because of the physicality he brings. You know, people enjoy watching him fight. It's very meat and potatoes, very basic, but it's the big strong guy, and he's very fast and explosive, and he doesn't stop punching. So that's kind of, you know, that's a just bleed fan's dream right there. Which is why another reason I like the matchup, right? Because that's a good way to look at this. It's a good analogy. You have over here, not the casual fans, but, you know, the just bleed fans, the pain fans, you know, the guys and the girls that like to watch fights. You may enjoy both. I'm not saying anything, but in general. Over here with Izzy, you have, you know, a true mixed martial artist, someone who is dedicated to the sport and the craft of fighting, especially stand-up, you know. He's very much more of a traditional martial artist in the way that he approaches the sport. It's clean, it's clinical, it's technique, and that's why I like the matchup as well, because you get interested new fans versus, you know, maybe not necessarily veterans, or because I don't know the appeal of Israel outside the MMA world. I assume it's quite big. It's just sometimes it's hard to gauge these things. Certainly he's not taking that step the sort of way that Conor McGregor had. Well, definitely he's not been around for long enough, but you know, it's very apparent when Conor McGregor broke through to popular culture. I mean, I don't think that's happened yet with Izzy, but you know, you get, this is certainly drawing some eyes to it as it is a big event, 253, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I could break down the fight for you. That's just from sort of the consumer side of things, what you may be thinking at home, and people's opinions going into the matchup for the anticipation of it. In terms of the fight, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I think everybody knows how this one is going to go. Costa's going to move forward with body kicks and, you know, trap him against the cage and throw hooks, or he'll go hook into body kick, or he'll just try and, you know, unload those hands. It's not, you know, he's not going to dart around on the outside. He's not really going to throw a bunch of leg kicks. He's going to step in with body kicks and try and follow up with his boxing. Izzy is going to, you know, have to deal with that first of all. So we're not really expecting Israel Adesanya to put on a particular performance. We just know what Costa's going to do, and we assume that Izzy will counter it the best way he is able to with his skill set, which is by drawing the fight out, taking it past 3 rounds that Costa has never been, wearing him down, picking him apart, making him miss, making him pay, you know, and just mixing up a variety of techniques and attacks. One thing I do find quite interesting is he obviously fights inside, outside, and even in like the clinch a lot, in the pocket, you know, with the knees and the elbows. So he can sort of fight across all the ranges in this fight. Costa doesn't really fight on the outside. He throws his kick on the outside to step in to close distance for his boxing. So it's been a question of whether Izzy can keep him on the outside with his kicks and with his frame, or if Costa is always going to be able to step into the exchanges that he wants. And it's going to be how well Izzy can exit those exchanges or meet him, you know, with a punch coming in or with elbows and knees when they're at those close ranges, because he's very good at timing things. You know, we saw him time that beautiful knee against Brunson. So if Costa does want to fight in here and does keep stepping into it, then, you know, Israel's either going to have to try and control the range and keep it where he wants, or fight on the inside, which he has done previously. So it'll be interesting, you know, is he going to dictate the range, or is he going to try and play with the ranges that Costa you know, puts on him with the pressure. But we'll see, man. Maybe he can just maintain long distance the entire time. I mean, logic would say don't get on the inside and trade with Costa. But Israel's 75-5 as a kickboxer. So he's had a lot of fights. I think he's, what, nearly 20-0? Right, so 20. This is what then? He's 90, 75, 80, 90. This is his 99th professional fight, including his kickboxing fights. You know he wants to get that that 100 fights, right? So that'll be fun for him. But the point is, I'm pretty sure he's seen people like this a lot in kickboxing, especially people that come forward and do similar things that Costa does, you know, which is power body kicks and then up close hooks and boxing and pin you against the fence and the cage. I'm sure Izzy's dealt with this. In fact, he's dealt with this in a boxing ring, which is a little harder to circle out sometimes, you know, because the ropes, we get caught in the corner, it's a little bit harder to get out than the octagon. So I'm not, you know, it's not like Israel's underestimating him, I don't think, but he's definitely seen this before. And, you know, I try when I do these little breakdowns to not give you information I feel like you've probably heard. You know, like as I said, I'm not talking about the entire fight as a whole, because it's basically going to play out how we all think it's going to play out, most likely, which is, yeah, like I said, Costa coming forward, Izzy fighting. But we'll see who gets command of the range. It's interesting. Izzy, obviously, if he defends, another gem on the belt. Who's next for him? There's a couple of guys at 185. Jack Manson's looking good. So there's some more interesting competitors down the line for Izzy as well. Yeah, I'll do my picks now as I go through them. If you ask me, I just think Paolo Costa is one of those undefeated guys who gets to the top, you know, almost like an Ozdemir-ish character, and then, you know, has his title shot, doesn't win, and then it's like, what do you do with him? You put him to the back, and then maybe he wins and beats everyone else. I think that's most likely to happen. I don't know if Costa will catch him, you know, and like as a lot of people have said when they've been analyzing this fight, Costa doesn't really knock people out with one punch. It's more of an accumulation. So to think that he could land an accumulation on Izzy, if that is what is required to end the fight based on his other previous performances, to actually be able to create that kind of a volume of success on Izzy is just going to be tough, man. It's going to be really tough. I mean, no one else has got close, and maybe Costa has some of the devastating striking, but he's not maybe as technical as some other people. Or I mean, Romero had a little bit of success early, but that's because Romero is very tricky. You know, and Romero is someone who puts people out with one shot. We've seen it, you know. So, interesting fight, interesting matchup. Someone's O will have to go. If you ask me, I'm going to go with the favorite on this one, the last Starbender, but not for much longer. All right, no, I didn't mean that. I mean the last Starbender forever, or there will be more Starbenders. I don't know. It's MMA. We're all Starbenders. All right, let's move on to the next fight down the card. Another title fight. So this is a nice little card, 253. The rest of the card isn't too stacked, but they're pushing talent, which is nice to see. Look at the long torso on Reyes, as we always see, but it creates such a frame on him and makes his arms so much longer than you would expect. He's very, very big, Reyes, 6'4". I mean, he's a lot bigger than Yan. I mean, he's almost more. Whoa! Did they weigh in? Did I miss this? Am I making this video maybe a couple of hours after the weigh-in? Did Yan miss weight? Hey, I'm going to do it live. Jan Blachowicz, UFC. Co-main doesn't say anything about it not being a title fight. Now it's time. 205 tick. It looks like he tweeted out today. 205 tick, says Yanni. There, look, you can have a look at the tweet right there. 205 check. Now it's time for the best part of the game. All right. Well, he looks ready to go. So I mean, you can't trust the UFC website. All right. Now let's get back into it. Yan has been looking really good. He's got that veteran suave and swagger about him. He's been technically finding holes in people's games and picking them apart, or when they make mistakes, he's very good at capitalizing on the opportunities that are created with the big left hook. And when he's not doing that, he's just being really janky, really awkward, hard to hit. Like, he looks like a very traditional fighter when he moves. And because he uses very simple traditional techniques, you know, it's literally, you know, lead hook, straight right, you know, couple of body kicks. He has a head kick, lead head kick, very traditional, basic techniques. But it's the way he manages the fight, manages his opportunities within the fight to create, you know, fight-ending sequences for himself. You know, he's never over-aggressive. He never deliberately pushes the pace just to be aggressive. It's, if there's a moment, I will capitalize. But if there's not a moment, then, you know, I'm going to just use my solid techniques, try and create holes, try and create openings, be defensive, be hard to hit, and just, you know, be patient. I feel like he's almost adopted this style of knowing that the time will come. Like he said that in the pre-fight interview, you know, second round, you know, it's going to be a TKO. And I don't think that's like necessary. I mean, who knows, it might be possible, but I think that's more him thinking based on his last fights. You know, I can be patient, I can wait. The opportunity will create itself. On the other hand, if you're in the second round with Dominic Reyes, I mean, the thing about the John Jones fight is it was a really, really good fight. And honestly, as the fight ended and they were calling the names, I think at the time I was like, well, wow, John's lost, right? That he, like, you know, and he didn't. I wasn't like crazily, you know, and we have different opinions on fights, you know, as humans. You can put 5 people in a room, they might all tell you someone else won a very close fight like that, you know, and there's 3 people that decide. But the point is, he definitely won the first 2 rounds because he came out really aggressive and he hunted him down and he chopped him down and he worked at John and he battered him with, you know, a couple of good shots because he was being aggressive and engaging. But it's a 5-round fight and he started to slow down towards the end of the fight and John took over in those rounds. So, you know, if your argument is he won the first few rounds, and you know, when in his post-fight interview, I won rounds 1, 2, and 3, which is like, okay, maybe you did. It was a very close fight, but like you have to win the whole thing, you know. So the point I was trying to make from that is Dom comes out hard. He doesn't take time to settle into the fight like Yan does. Dom comes out and he knows he's got power in his hands. And he knows if he lands them, he's going to knock people out. He's done it his whole career. So if Yan's like second round knockout, it's like, I want to know what the fight looks like at that point in the second round, because Dominic Reyes isn't going to play around until you find your opportunity. He's going to come at you. He's going to kick you as hard as he can and hit you as hard as he can. He's going to throw volume. He's fighting from that southpaw stance. He's very good, and he's very, you know, if you see some of his earlier fights, he's all over the place, you know. He's just very athletic and has a very high output and just swinging punches, you know. It's not that his technique is terrible, but he won a lot of his early fights just with his pressure, just like, I'm just going to keep hitting you and I hit really hard, you know. So I don't know, like Dom could win this in the first round even, you know. He's done that before. Yan's very good defensively, like we've said, and he's a vet, so he has fought some of these, you know, guys. But you know, he's been knocked out, right? Didn't Jimmy knock him out at one point? Let's have a quick look at Yan here, the Polish power. Their last couple of fights, wins. I mean, the Rockhouse knockout, impressive. The Souza win, also very impressive, and the Anderson knockout, yeah. So these are good 3 solid wins. This is why he's in this position. Round 1 as well for him right there. Round 2 against Rockhold, but it was early in round 2 because he had him hurt at the end of the first. He did lose to Mahata, who went on to fight for the belt, but he lost by knockout. You know, it's not first round. He beat Manuel, but before this, I believe he had lost. Oh wow, look at this run he's been on. Lost to Cummings, who got out wrestled. Lost to Gustafsson. I don't remember that fight even. So he had already lost. He's had a lot of rematches in it, Yan. To be fair though, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So he's won 7 out of his last 8 fights, which is pretty impressive. And he's had more than that as well in the UFC. So we'll see. But anyway, he's on a tear. He's on a run. He definitely is more confident than he's ever been in his career. He's definitely probably better than he's ever been in his career. He's kind of found his style, found his home. We all kind of know him now a little bit better because it's kind of hard to work out what this guy's good at when he first showed up in the UFC. Like, oh, yeah, Blachowicz, yeah, the new Polish guy. Yeah, he's good. What's he good at? Just, you know, a bit of everything. He doesn't really have, you know, a specialty. Like, I think his specialty now is his craftiness, you know. He's a bit awkward, a bit lanky, but he's got power. Like, he knocks people out. So, you know, at 205, a lot of people have power, but, you know, he has it there. He has the fight finishing ability. So I don't know if he lands it on Reyes. Reyes has been in there with John, literally coming off the back of a fight against the best in the world, will give you some confidence. I think Dom is the future champ. I think a southpaw striker as good as him in this division is going to be really hard to stop. I think he has great takedown defense, like crazy good takedown defense. So unless someone's going to come along and grapple him, pretty much everyone he fights is going to have to stand up with him. And I think he can pretty much beat everybody at the moment. I think it's an interesting fight. I think maybe Yan holds on, but I think the power is going to be too much, and Yan probably wilt, whether he wilts early or late. That might be the case. But, you know, if Dom overextends, you know, Yan has a good ground game, his sneaky submissions. It should be an interesting fight. I think they both definitely deserve to be there in that title shot. That's who I'd put both in there right now. So we'll get a new champion. I'm going to lean towards Reyes, though. I mean, look, I'd like to make a crazy pick, but I'm going to make the sensible pick. So there we are. Right. The rest of this card, no massive names on here, really. But, up and comers. Kai Kara France is, a highly touted prospect. He's at 125, which isn't, the most watched division, I guess. You put them on there in the Coco main event. This is a big deal for Kai Kara France. I know that Izzy's fighting, so obviously it's, it kind of probably gets him on that main card. And they have obviously Brad Riddle as well. It'll be interesting. I'll have a look at the prelims here as well. But Kai Kara France, he won. He's a fantastic Muay Thai fighter. He's won the what's the name of that? There's a really famous Muay Thai gym in Thailand, and it's called like Tiger MMA or something like. It might be Tiger Muay Thai. I know he has won their like yearly tournament, like the year that it was on, the year he was in it, he won. And I know Brad Riddle has won that tournament as well. Like a few people who've been in the UFC have won that tournament. So he's a very, very good Muay Thai fighter. He's very technical. He's almost a little bit like a smaller Izzy, because he is quite patient and a bit like a sniper. He just tends to blitz a little more when people are hurt, and he definitely uses his boxing a little bit more. But he's fighting against Brandon Royval. I mean, Brandon's look good. He's very scrappy. I love the way he fights. This will be a really good fight. I think as much as the names aren't too big, this will be a really good fight. At 125, it's going to be extremely fast paced. And I like it. I like sticking it on there, because this is like a 125 resurrection fight. Because if you're sat down to watch the, the big UFC event, UFC 253, cool. All right, we'll have a good time. Who are these guys? Oh, but you're gonna get a good high paced, high action fight. I don't know what the strike rate is on these guys. 1.93. That's a lot lower than I would have thought for Royval, but obviously 5.27. That's high as well. There, the percentage obviously a lot lower though. And Royval does have very, very good takedowns, submissions. I mean takedowns. He does have very good submissions. So interesting fight. 9% takedown defense though. That's not bad. I don't know how many he's had to defend. He does grapple a little bit though. Kai Kara France. He's an MMA fighter. He's not just a Muay Thai fighter. But yeah, I mean, Don't Blink and Raw Dog, two interesting names. I think it'll be a good fight. I think Kai probably takes it. I think he's probably feeling really confident. First main event appearance. I think he feels like he's supposed to win this, and I think that'll carry him. He's definitely someone who's got like that winner's mindset or champion's mindset because he's been victorious in previous, big events. So I think that'll carry him through. But Brandon Royval is one of those guys, man, you could just never underestimate. You just don't know what's going to show up or what he's going to do. And if there's any opportunity, he'll take advantage of it. So it'll be an interesting fight. Right, then we've got the women's matchup. Caitlin Vieira, who has looked terrifying. There have been some fantastic additions across the UFC women's weight classes of these Brazilian ladies who are just phenomenal, and they are scary, and Caitlin Vieira is one of them. This will be a fantastic fight, especially against Sijara Eubanks, man, who has just looked so good this year. Just in terms of her, like, I don't want to say grit is the right word, but she's been in there, she's been in trouble, but she's won. She's won 3 fights this year, each time with perseverance, with confidence in herself, to not to get herself out of the bad situation she was in and know that she can go on and win these fights. And she's just been beating people up when they give her the chance, and just rounded out her game enough to the point where wherever the fight is, I'm going to just hit you. Like, you might be winning, you might be pushing the pace, you might be on top of me, and I'll try and reverse and hit you, but I'm just going to hit you. So this is an interesting matchup because Caitlin's a bit more, Sijara is quite technical, but so is Caitlin. So I want to see, let's have a look at the last opponents. Let's see who Sijara Eubanks beat this year. I think she beat Hannah Cyphers for one of them. So Bechkoya, this was actually last year. So this is her 3rd fight this year. It's just May and then September, really. Oh no, this was September. So I'm going to say, yeah, okay. So she beat Cheesecake Morris. She wasn't the best of competitors at the time. She's definitely a crafty fighter, but that's not a massive win. Betch, again, these are kind of older generation of women's competitors. Still definitely good fighters, but older generation. Avila was a good fight, a good matchup, and she was actually kind of losing that fight, persevered and came through at the end. Avila's a bit of a you know, balls to the wall kind of fighter. So she kind of got herself in a couple of bad spots in that one. But you know, we'll see what Eubanks comes out with. I mean, this is 125 or 135, excuse me. Right, I was going to say. I thought it was 125, to be honest. Some of the 25 and 35ers I do get mixed up. Even the 115ers, it's all mixed up sometimes for me. Some of them do change weight classes, though. It doesn't help. You know, it'll be a fun fight. Title implications. I mean, if you ask me who's got the better chance of taking out Amanda, I'd say Caitlin Vieira. But I don't think either of them can beat Amanda. So this is just, you know, for whatever comes next. I mean, I think Amanda retires before she gets beaten by anyone in the division at the moment. But we'll see. Good fight. All right. I'm going to go with... I want to go with Caitlin, but I feel like Sijara's probably banking on her tiring a little bit and just pushing the pace a little bit later, especially in the third round. You know, if it's still in the third round, I bet Sijara is looking for those takedowns, looking for that top position and trying to, like, you know, pound out this win. So I'm going to go Caitlin because I think she's long and mean and dangerous, but should be a good fight. All right. And here we go. Kicking off the main card, Hakeem Dawodu. I believe that. Is it Dawodu? I think it's Dawodu. And Zibura. I actually haven't heard this name out loud very often. But I do know who this man is. He's an absolutely sensational striker. Zubaria Tukahov? Yeah, I haven't actually heard that one. I can't hear. Usually I'm good with the names because you hear them and that's it. But I can't, you know, recall this guy's name being said. I do know he's a very, very good striker. Let's have a look here. Didn't he lose his last one? Am I thinking of somebody else here? No, he did win. Okay, right, at the fight night. Right, that's right. Yeah, he lost to Moicano. Maybe that's the one I'm thinking of. Maybe I watched this back at a certain point. But this was 2016, so possibly not. I mean, he's been in the UFC for such a long time here. 2014, how have I not heard this man's name? Interesting. Anyway, he's win. He dropped one to Moicano, but he's been winning since then. I mean, it's so hard to get anywhere in this division. I think that may have been at a higher weight class as well, though. But the point is, I think the more interesting prospect going into this is Hakeem. He's fighting out of Canada, obviously. I know people have given him GSP references. He's looked good. He's looked powerful. He's got very good clinch. Very good knees and elbows, mainly to put the pressure and the pace on people at all ranges, right? On the outside, and then if you can crash into them, and then you can fight from the clinch and beat them up from there. So this is a great fight to kick us off. I think there are probably some other bigger names on the prelims, but again, I like the way the UFC does to slide their new talent in there as well. Obviously, it's Fight Island, so it's not easy for everyone to get fights right now. I mean, not everyone can fight, but if you can fight. You know, I want to say Hakeem gets it done, but oh man, it's a tough fight because this is more of a test for Hakeem. I mean, he's relatively new to the UFC. He did lose recently as well. It was a good fight. It went the distance, though. I think he lost by decision. No, win. When did I see him lose then? Possibly. This is the last time I saw. Right, maybe he's won since then. I mean, Arnett's a good fight. Bochnik is too. He's very tough. And then Daniel Arce, right. Good performances. Round three. So, like, 3 decisions. He's got a knockout with a minute left there. I think he just put the pressure on towards the end. If you ask me, I'd say he's probably coming quite hungry for a finish, especially on a card like this. You know, he's got Israel Adesanya coming up to him when he's signing things on the embedded. You know, he probably feels like, you know, he belongs here a little bit more, and probably wants to make a good showcase of himself. So I'd expect him to probably be looking for a finish in this one, and probably be a bit more aggressive than Zubaria. So I give the edge to Hakeem in this one. All right, let's move down and have a quick look at some of these prelim cards and who's on here. We'll pick through some of them. Brad Riddle, obviously fighting out of City Kickboxing as well. Again, a very, very well decorated Muay Thai practitioner against Alex Da Silva. Great matchup, man. Alex Da Silva's like one of those sneaky, sly guys at 155 who's just really dangerous. But you know, he's not really fought big names or had the chance to move up, because 55 is so stacked. So I like this fight for both of them. Let's see how good Riddle's striking looks against someone like Alex de Silva, who has way more fights than him and is going to be used to kind of, you know, dangerous strikers, at least power punches that you have to be aware of. Riddle's very technical in the way he executes his techniques and his power, but it'll be an interesting fight. I think I'd like to say Riddle takes this one just because of, again, the hometown advantage. They put him at the end, you know, leading into the main card, so he probably feels some love there as well. But Alex de Silva will not care at all that, you know, his fellow teammates are on the card. He will just show up to fight and to win, and that's what he's going to do. So we'll see. I'll give it to Riddle though. Diego Sanchez against Jake the Celtic Kid Matthews. Is it a good matchup? I mean, I just, you know, heaven be for me to stop Diego from doing anything, but I mean, I just feel like I mean, maybe he really loves fighting and just wants to keep fighting, but I don't think he beats Jake Matthews, man. Jake Matthews is a killer, you know, and he was undefeated in the UFC. His losses are only to the top guys, and he's beat a lot of good people as well. He's been consistent. I just don't even think this does anything for Jake Matthews. Not that I'd say don't take the fight, but he's beat better guys, you know. The Leech he's beaten there. Right, he lost to Rocco right there. Yeah, Ackman. And Meek's a pretty decent fighter, you know. Very tough guy, real tough guy to hang in there for 3 rounds with Meek, you know. That was a good fight as well. But I think Jake Matthews is you know, his potential is incredibly high. He's very young still. I get that they match up Diego with these guys. Just Diego doesn't need to take these kind of fights, man. Like Jake Matthews is on the up. You know, Diego's on the down. Diego needs to fight people on the down, not the up. Like, this is not the way to do it. I don't know whose idea it was. Like, who the matchmakers? Like, yeah, you know, do we give Diego to this guy, or Diego and Jake Matthews? That'll be a good fight. Maybe the availability's lined up, because, you know, and this is at 155, is it? Because Jake Matthews doesn't fight at 45. I mean, he's big. He's a big boy. I don't think he can make 45. Diego's taking this at 155. UFC weigh-in results. All right, let's have a look on the actual breakdown. Diego Sanchez 170. This is being fought at. Wow. Okay. You know, Diego had a tough time making 145. So when it says 145, I'm not like, oh yeah, Diego fights there normally. He did it. Yeah. I didn't think Jake could make 155. So 170's, again, even worse, really, from the perspective I was coming from there. I just felt like Diego is a lot smaller than Jake, and I was like, 145, like, if he's fighting down there at the moment, like, Jake don't fight at that weight, so it's fine. Whatever. I think Jake just picks him apart and probably drops him and hurts him bad, and then has to finish up with some nasty ground and pound. I just don't think Diego's even the same fighter he used to be. I don't know what to say. A win for either of them does nothing. It's entertainment. They're both getting paid. I hope they're getting paid. That's basically it, really. I'll still watch the fight and enjoy it, though. Let's see, man. Diego's still scrappy as hell. Like, I'd love to see him use some grappling, some wrestling, take some people down. You know, he can probably out-grapple Jake if he gets on top. You know, if he can survive like he normally does, and drag him down. I just don't think he has the physicality to really, like, manhandle Jake against the fence like he's done with some people. If he gets on top, though, you know, he's got a great gas tank, so we'll see. I just see how much. I mean, this is not a recent photo of Diego, I'm sure, because he looks a little bit more banged up than that these days. But right, Shane Young versus Nate Landwehr. There we are. Interesting matchup here. I don't recognize either of these guys, really. Maybe Nate the Train. Let me have a quick look. Have they fought before? Yeah, he lost to Gilbert Burns' brother. Okay. And did he just beat Darren Elkins? Interesting. I must have seen this fight then. 2020, January 25th. So it was this year. Interesting. All right, interesting. You know, like, this is good. But I mean, I know they're both. And again, here, Shane Young. He fought Volkanovski. Wow, didn't see that one either. I must have done, though. I must have seen the Arnett fight as well. All right. Well, it doesn't matter. The point is, Good scrap, 145. I like to see these 145ers because the division's a little thin. William Knight making his UFC debut after just coming off the Contender Series. Interesting fight. Alexis Camur, I think he was also on the Contender Series. So, and he's a power puncher. This is going to be fireworks. That's a good little fight there as well. Anything else early? Jeff Hughes, Danilio. All right, there we go. Right, there we are. Quick breakdown of all the events and the fights taking place there. If you've got questions you'd like to ask me, I can answer them, but let me know in the comments. I always read those comments, you know I do, about who you're picking or what you think, how the fights are going to play out. What do you think the main event's going to play out like? Let's have a little chat, have a little discussion going. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Appreciate it. I will endeavor to do more of these, and yeah, go enjoy the fights. I'm looking forward to them too. All right, and have yourselves a good night. Take care.